the near future, due to climate issues, rising sea levels, and resource depletion, humans have decided to migrate to space for survival and have successfully built shelters suitable for human habitation between lunar orbits. But not long after, some shelters declared independence without authorization and established the Adrian Autonomous Republic, launching indiscriminate attacks on Earth and other shelters. So, a 40-year war broke out between the Earth Alliance and Adrian. During this period, a mercenary named Jingi was the most proud legendary figure in the human civil war in South Korea. He participated in countless wars, big and small, and could annihilate the entire mechanical team with just one person's power. And Adrian's most powerful weapon is undoubtedly the Decepticon in front of him. It can break through obstacles at an extremely fast speed through its glider, and its indestructible tiger skin can easily withstand rocket damage. The back is equipped with an 8-hole high-tech fire extinguisher, allowing it to be reborn in minutes from the fire. The head is equipped with high-definition infrared thermal imaging, making enemies know where to hide. Just as Jing-yi, who was hiding on top, was looking for a chance to catch her breath, the Decepticons suddenly turned their gunheads and launched a frenzy of shots towards her head. Jing-yi quickly transferred with the help of ropes, smashed the glass, and fled to the other side. However, the Decepticons were pinned down by several steel pillars falling from her head. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Jing-yi, but when he aimed at the Decepticons, he hesitated and was instead hit by the incoming mechanical soldiers. Jing-yi was once again surrounded by the enemy. He endured the pain and looked at his injured left hand, only to find that his fingers were made of machinery. Just as Jing-yi was taken aback by this, his eyes suddenly became hollow, and his entire body sat motionless in place. The mechanical soldiers around him stopped attacking, and the environment behind him began to change, gradually switching from a cruel battlefield to a circular warehouse. The cabin door opened and 3 researchers walked in. They came behind Jing-yi and connected a data cable to his neck. After the data was transmitted, Jing-yi stood up and followed the researchers out of the warehouse, entering a long passage. Below the passage is a huge machine manufacturing factory, with the heads of the robots lined up in a row, waiting for testing, while Jing-yi was sent into an elevator. As the elevator ascended, 4 robotic arms began to strip him of his military uniform, ultimately leaving only a bare half of his body. Although Jing-yi is worthy of being a legendary mercenary, passing through 5 levels and slaying 6 generals, overcoming numerous difficulties, she always fails to clear the levels at the last moment for some reason. So this version of Jing-yi can only face the fate of being destroyed. And why did Jing-yi become a robot? Originally, 35 years ago, Jing-yi participated in a secret combat mission to blow up the Adrianti shelter, but unfortunately the operation failed and he became a vegetative. In order to inherit Jing-yi's unique mercenary spirit, the coalition forces obtained the consent of his family and spared no expense in supporting the cloning of his brain and converting it into data. They will develop the best combat command artificial intelligence research project with all his tactics and combat skills, and even his strong loyalty and will. The project is called Jing-yi, and Jing-yi's daughter, group leader Yeon, is responsible for completing this project. On this day, senior leaders came to inspect group leader Yeon and explain the working principle of artificial intelligence to them. However, the leaders only cared about the test results of cloned humans. When they found out that Jing-yi had not been able to escape success so far, they began to mock Jing-yi's past. The Heat believes that the failure of the Battle of Cloning and the busyness of the soldiers cannot create weapons to successfully win the war, and even attributes the continuous Adrian civil war to Jing-yi. Upon hearing this, Shifin couldn't swallow his breath and swore that his mother's clone would pass the escape test and become an eternal hero of the United Army. Unfortunately, the reality is not optimistic. Currently, the clone Yeon, who has been assigned the number Jing-yi 17, must have an interview with him before abandoning the number 17. Assistant Xiaopang connects the tablet to the controller and presses the live system rocket on the tablet. At this moment, Jing-yi can truly feel the pain of her body's disability. Her daughter can't bear to operate the tablet, reducing the pain index of her brain to the lowest level. Without any pain, Jing-yi began to go crazy due to her physical disability, and her brain's anger index skyrocketed. His state of being unable to communicate at all, and Shifin could only shut down Clone 17 and abandon him. Then, a folding robotic arm steadily removed the brain from the skull of the cloned human from top to bottom. Xiaopang is a loyal fan of Jing-yi and feels it's a pity to just throw away the cloned human body like this. In addition, when he was young, Captain Jing-yi was more popular than the comic book hero. Leader Yeon told his mother that it was because of him that she often went to war. When he was young, his mother had a lung tumor, and only by constantly going to the battlefield could she earn enough money to pay for the high cost of surgery. Therefore, Leader Yeon always felt that her mother died because of herself. She boarded the train to the hospital and looked at the mother and daughter who depended on each other not far away. She remembered that the last time she met her mother, she had received a task and had to go to the battlefield again, so she couldn't accompany her daughter for surgery. She comforted her daughter and said that she would come back after the surgery, urging her to be strong. But when we meet, It's already a permanent separation between heaven and earth. After seeing the doctor, the team leader learned that the cancer cells in the lungs had spread to all surrounding organs, and the current situation was that surgery was no longer possible, with a maximum lifespan of 3 months. The doctor suggested immediate brain cloning and transfer to a patient's body. Leader Yeon is very familiar with this surgery. Cloning surgery can be divided into 3 levels, A, B, and C. Level A has an independent personality and can have basic human rights such as legal marriage, but the cost is extremely high. B level does not enjoy independent personality, needs to provide brain cloning data to government agencies, and C level cannot receive human treatment at all, so it is necessary to authorize brain data to various institutions and create countless similar clones to provide various services. C type requires almost no cost, but instead provides support for families who have lost loved ones. Yeon was well aware of this, but because his mother Jingi was her grandmother, she reluctantly chose to sign a C-type contract, which was used as a weapon of war. He was also very calm about his condition and left without making a decision after listening to the doctor's introduction. Based on the statistics of the battle data of Clone 17, a completely upgraded brain was placed in the skull of Clone 18. For the new round of escape testing, the director of the research institute, Jin, broke the routine and instructed the robot to attack Jingyi's legs first. The testing began, and Jingyi was activated in vivo. Due to leg injuries, the pain data in the brain rapidly increased. Although Jingyi defeated several small soldiers with her super willpower, she was completely suppressed by the robots in a one-on-one battle against them. The willpower area of Jingyi in the computer is marked in green. When the battle failed, Jingyi's willpower began to decline, and the pain represented by the red color began to soar. Unless unexpected, the escape test failed again. At this moment, a new part of Jingyi's brain suddenly activated, and Jin immediately ordered the researchers to mark it in yellow. This unexpectedly activated new field is likely to be the key to successfully escaping the test. But in the various tests that followed, various extreme methods were used, and none of them were able to find this yellow field again. Moreover, they received orders from the headquarters that if Jingyi escapes failure in the new round of testing, he will be downgraded for family use. At that time, Jingyi is likely to become a fun tool. This result is unacceptable to the team leader, so he ordered his subordinates to send him all the data of the artificial intelligence project. After careful study, when Jingyi learns that she is about to die, the Huangshi area will be activated. Only what is that is social, and socially, he represents the concern for his daughter. Captain Jingyi's memory still lingers 35 years ago. He is afraid that he will not be able to fulfill his promise to his daughter and will not be able to appear at the end of her surgery. Leader Yeon quickly told Captain Jingyi that the surgery was very successful. Jingyi was very pleased after hearing this. Before undergoing surgery, her daughter gave Jingyi a doll, a cute little doll like her. My daughter told her mother to be strong, the little doll can protect her mother, and she even made a wish. Jingyi happily put away the doll, but accidentally lost it during the battle. She felt very sorry for it until the moment she aimed at the Decepticons. The little doll hanging in the car once again aroused his concern, which was also the reason why Jingyi hesitated for a moment at that time. Leader Yeon shut down Jingyi's system. He listened to his mother's words and was already in tears, crying bitterly. Turns out I'm everything to my mother. But he didn't tell his mother that his daughter had grown up, and he didn't want his mother to know that he only had 3 months left in life. Watching Captain Jingyi sitting there, he had an extremely bold idea in his heart. Quickly, the production of the new memory clone was completed, and Group Leader Yeon was waiting in the prototype warehouse. He had to personally conduct the data transmission for the final test. After the others left, Group Leader Yeon plugged the data cable into Jingyi's neck. Looking at the brain data on the tablet, he pressed his finger on the Huangshi area and wanted to delete all his mother's concerns about him. Standing behind my mother, looking at him, Group Leader Yeon's heart was full of mixed feelings. He glanced at the progress bar again, but couldn't help but let go of his hand, causing his mother's concern for her daughter to drop to scale 1. Then he began to speak in Jingyi's ear, as if she had heard a dream, but it was not a dream. Leader Yeon told him everything about his mother being cloned after she turned into a vegetative, and the final round of testing officially began after the docking was completed. Director Jin sat bored, feeling that the escape outcome must still be the same. Quan Dang walked through the motions. The previous few levels of stones have become as agile as ever, and can be easily taken down through graceful movements. Then came the decisive battle with the Decepticons, who were trapped by the help above their heads. Captain Jingyi raised his weapon and quickly aimed, but unfortunately, he was hit by reinforcements again. Ba Jin announced the end of the test, and everyone disbanded on the spot. Goodbye by chance. After speaking, he left the control center. 2 researchers are conducting the final work. Strangely enough, as soon as Jingyi's brain data was transmitted, he automatically stood up. The two of them were slightly surprised, but they still followed Jingi, and Ajin, who had just left, suddenly noticed something unusual. He quickly returned to the control center and asked his assistant to replay the scene of being shot earlier. Slowing down the playback speed of the screen, I glanced at Ajin again and found that the bullet did not hit Captain Quiet, but he fell directly to the ground. If something goes wrong, there must be demons. Ajin ordered his assistant to sound the alarm and notify all personnel to go to the emergency shelter. Two researchers saw the alarm and felt a bit confused. Suddenly, Jingi quickly turned around and easily knocked both of them unconscious, taking away one of their pass cards. At the same time, the assistant activated 3 combat robots in the laboratory after some operation. Ajin set off with a weapon to search for Captain Jingi, while Captain Een went to the interview room and deleted all the original data related to Jingi from the computer. He wanted Captain Jingi to completely escape this ghost place. Facing this unfamiliar world, Jingi got lost and walked into a production cabin filled with clones. 3 robots followed closely behind and fought fiercely against Jingi. Jingi is also not showing any weakness. After all, he was a legendary mercenary who used a high leg kick to fly one of the soldiers, and then used a running relay to kick one of the soldiers down and unplug the power cord on his neck. However, the battle with the other 2 robots lasted for a long time, and he couldn't resist it. One arm was unplugged. At a critical moment, Jingi aimed a laser at the robot's head, pushed it away, and then made a fatal kick. Although she killed another one, the pain on his body rapidly increased. In the following fight, he gradually fell behind and was choked by the robot, lifted high. Fortunately, the hidden clan leader appeared in time and used a data cable to shut down the robot's system. He held Captain Jingi's face and told him that he was the person speaking in his dream, and that he would help Jingi escape from the research institute. On the other side, a high-speed train rushed over, and several handsome mechanical soldiers appeared, holding long guns and heading straight to the research institute. They arrived outside the warehouse where Jingi was located, fully intervened, entered the passage, and immediately entered the warehouse. Unexpectedly, the task was executed surprisingly smoothly. Captain Jingi walked out from the side, fell into the trap, and was directly taken down by the mechanical soldiers. They reported to headquarters that humans were injured at the scene, and a robot helped the hidden chieftain leave the warehouse. The mechanical soldier walked in to examine Jingi's injuries and found that his head was actually empty. The soldier captain was a bit clever and turned his head to explore the surveillance footage on the roof. Through monitoring, it was found that Group Leader Een transferred Jingi's brain data to the head of another robot and successfully escaped from the research institute. When the soldiers found out, Jingi and Group Leader Een had already boarded the escape train. Unexpectedly, Ajin was waiting in the train ahead of schedule. He angrily rebuked the betrayal of Group Leader Een and threatened Jingi to kill his daughter if she acted recklessly. Group Leader Een quickly said that he had erased all memories of Jingi's daughter. Captain Jingi is now a completely free and independent person. Upon hearing this, Ajin directly fired a shot on the shoulder of Captain Een. Jingi made a quick counterattack, grabbed the pistol and fired directly at Ajin in the face, then kicked him out of the palm of the eye. Unexpectedly, Ajin, who was shot in the head, stood up. It turned out that he was also a clone. Upon learning the truth, Ajin activated his hidden second personality and his movements became incredibly agile. The 2 robots fought fiercely for several rounds, but Ajin destroyed the controller with 1 foot. The out-of-control train began to run rapidly towards the city center. Ajin found the opportunity, picked up the mirror, and threw him directly out of the window. Fortunately, Jingi grabbed Ajin's arm, but after several strong blows from Ajin, Jingi fell in unbearable pain. Just as Ajin thought it was over, Jingi grabbed the train and transferred it to the other side. Suddenly, she made a big jump, kicked the broken glass, and hit Ajin's neck directly. Then, with another heavy foot, Ajin was beaten to the ground. At this moment, the car was attacked by gunfire, and Jingi quickly found a corner to hide. It turned out that the mechanical soldier had caught up with him on a high-speed train. The soldiers launched indiscriminate attacks on the train. Fortunately, as the train advanced to the city center, the mechanical soldiers detected the human attack inside the city. They put away their weapons and, after a burst of gunfire, all the soldiers rose into the air, using inertia to fly in the pit. With the hooks in their hands, the train successfully transferred to the inside of the train. Jingi had nowhere to escape and could only charge forward to confront several mechanical soldiers with 1 person's strength. Ajin picked up a weapon and successfully hit his stepdaughter with a hook. 2 mechanical soldiers rushed forward, but Captain Een saw that the situation was not good and rushed towards a soldier. However, the soldier shook him off, but Captain Een successfully activated Jingi's Huangshi area. He pulled out the hooklock, crazily hit the soldier, then threw the hooklock at Ajin, and then rushed towards him at an extremely fast speed. With a flying kick, Ajin was directly kicked out of the train. Ajin grabbed a mechanical soldier with a rope, and after flying for a moment, they successfully returned to the second floor of the train with the help of the rope. Just as Jingi didn't pay attention, Jin suddenly broke through the obstacle, grabbed Jingi, and forcefully pressed her to the ground. After evading a heavy punch, Jingi quickly counterattacked and kicked Jin out with one kick. At this moment, the out-of-control train was like a fast iron gate, catching fire and racing wildly in the city center. After colliding with a container, the two-level trains began to separate, leaving the city center and continuing towards the suburbs. Jin and Jingi still had a heated argument, leading the team leader to climb out the window and watch them. Suddenly, a beam of light shone, and a train was speeding towards the opposite side. Due to the severe split of the second layer of our own train, the entire body of the train was even more unstable after being hit by the opposite train. Jin picked up the weapon beside him and continued to fire at Jingi, who was about to fall off the train. Leaderine also picked up a launch hook and locked it directly in front of Jingi. Jingi climbed forward twice and flew up the rope towards the upper train, while Jin, who was crazily pounding below, was not as useful. After the separation of the car body, he followed suit and fell down. He reluctantly explored the stillness that flew up. Even though he was reluctant, he was powerless to turn back to the sky. The falling train collided with the mountain, causing a big explosion. Jingi grabbed the train with one hand and successfully climbed up with the help of group leader Yeon. At this point, the train lost power and stopped in the suburbs, while the sound of the pursuit siren could still be heard not far away. Yeon clan leader tearfully urged Jingi to leave quickly, as she would be fine. Jingi was a bit reluctant. He hugged the Yeon clan leader in front of him and had a happy encounter with him, just like his mother hugged you when she was a child. With this hug, the Yeon clan leader was extremely satisfied. Then, when Jingi left, he made a big jump and flew out of the train, running at an extremely fast speed in the jungle. Although he didn't know where the road ahead was, there was hope in life. Chifin also wishes for Jingi, so that all the good luck in the world can accompany her. Jingi climbed up the mountain, looked into the distance, and surveyed this familiar yet unfamiliar world.